Time now to take us from the hallowed banks of the Itchen to some rather wild rivers in Yorkshire. Paul Procter, another Vice-President of the Wild Trout Trust, famous big fish angler as well. He's going to show you how he catches some of those magnificent wild brownies.
Hi everyone, it's Paul Procter here, one of the Vice Presidents of the Wild Trout Trust. We're on the River Aire today by kind invite of Johnny Gray. You'll know him as the Research and Conservation Officer. It's the first time I've actually done some sampling on the River Aire, and those of you who know me, who follow me, will instantly recognise I make this link between trout food and trout and the imitations I care to use when fishing. It's always difficult, we were discussing earlier, in that I feel that I'm preaching to an audience, an enlightened audience, but hopefully we can just look at some things. And I've certainly, just from the sampling we've done this morning, I've learnt lots already, so every day is a school day. So what I'd like to show you, for me, the big thing on the River Aire, Johnny knows it inside out and he gets some sensational fish here. And again, those of you who know me, I do like targeting larger wild brown trout. But for me, the big thing here is the absolute incredible number of bullheads. Okay, the bullhead, well, as we also know as the sculpin, you can see here, I mean, it's just astonishing the number of them. There's actually a minnow in there as well swimming about. But the key thing is, obviously, they're a protein-packed meal for trout, and obviously with that number turning up, in fact there's one escapee, look, he's just got away from me there, getting back to safety, there he goes. They're a protein-packed meal for the trout, so consequently very, very important, and it's creatures like this that we can easily overlook. One thing I would encourage you all to do, it doesn't have to be at river fly partnership level or anything, is just have a closer look at your environment. I mean, it's schoolboy stuff, is this? It's school kid stuff where you ratch about with a tiny wee net, but it's so enlightening. And like I said, these bullheads are just sensational. We'll look at case caddis. Again, you'll know them as sedges as well. We've actually got some case caddis in here, but there's some pupal cocoons, or pods if you like, what the pupa actually develop into prior to hatching. So we know this is ongoing at the moment. There's case caddis. Probably some of these will develop over winter and emerge next year. They're well represented. As we keep on the caddis theme, we've got the free swimming versions as well. These actually knit together little nets on the underside of stones to capture insects, but again these are well represented. Another interesting one, believe it or not, are earthworms. Some people might refer to them as aquatic worms because clearly these are, and there's actually one attached to a case caddis in there. These actually live in the river and again are very important food source for the trout. So you begin to build this picture of the ecology and how important that is, and that's the message I really want to get over to you folks. I know, again, I'm talking to people who totally get this and understand. However, it's vital that we keep pushing. Yes, you know, there's going to be people talking today about trout habitat, the loss of it, etc. And in many degrees this goes hand in glove with that, but at the end of the day, if the trout haven't got the food, they can't survive. So it's essential that we take note of that. Something else we've got here as well, which is quite interesting, are the wee swan mussels. This is the discarded shell of the swan mussel, and it's only a tiny one, but where these are evident, it's an indication of extremely clean water. And again, a mollusk, not saying necessarily trout feed on those, However, the very fact that these are in the river here is a very, very good sign indeed. Just moving it on, I suppose, and perhaps we'll have a look a little bit later. We'll see how the day goes. One thing that does appear to be lacking, and I'll be careful when I say the word lacking, because it just could be the environment we've taken the sample from. I tend to find the stone clingers and upwing flies where there's a little bit more stable substrate than the smaller pebbles we had here, but there are a few small stone clingers. Let's see if we can disturb one. See if he'll do a wee whiz round for us. I think there's one hiding there. There's one, a tiny one, you might have seen that. So what we're looking for, one thing that does appear to be lacking, and I use the word loosely lacking because it just might be the actual site we did the kick sample, is a lack of upwing nymphs, if you like, and typically storm clingers, he says, as there's one on this stone just there, a wee one. Probably that'll emerge next year. You can just see it on the corner of the stone. I'll see if I can disturb him. No, he doesn't want to leave that corner of the stone. There he is, right on the corner. So hopefully when we have a look a little bit later, we'll show you some of these. So we've had a change of location just to satisfy our curiosity in terms of what invertebrates and fly life will throw up. Rather interestingly, we're still finding lots of bullheads, and there's even minnows in here, but of more significance is a good selection or representation of upwing nymphs, typically stone clingers from this. We've got slightly larger boulders here, or pebbles. The stoneflies, we've caught a large gammarus. Johnny tells us this river isn't the best for them, and we've even got a white-clawed crayfish. But just from an angler's perspective, which I am, a credit to Johnny Boy of the Wild Trout Trust for the work he's done, and it just shows that kind of work and input and our support, what it does for the environment, not just the fish but the environment as a whole. So we've talked about these from a perspective of being trout food and indicators of the environment, etc., etc. However, I'm ultimately a fisherman. I'm an amateur when it comes to entomology. I'm a nuts and bolts fisherman, and just to make that link between what you find in your river and taking it to the fly tying table. And that doesn't mean you have to come out with all the Latin names and puff your chest out and impress your friends. To the trout, that's a wee olive jobby, a wee black jobby. Look at the way it moves, look in the trays you've got, see how they move, and try and emulate that when you're fishing. So we spoke about imitations and what, on the findings here, what exactly would we use? And again, I'm pragmatic as a fly tyer. I'm not an exact copier or imitator. For an example would be, if we tied a shrimp, all it would imitate was a shrimp. However, if you tied a scruffy looking hare's ear on a size 10 hook, it might pass off as a shrimp, it could pass off as a case caddis, it might even pass off as a caddis pupa as well. So I guess the message is, like I said earlier, is just get out onto your stream, have a look what's in there, and don't be afraid. You know, we've all got to start somewhere with the fly tying as well. So just get out there and get some flies. Me for here just now, given the number of bullheads, or miller's thumb as we know them, I'd definitely be looking at a size 8 articulated nymph. Can I pass it off as that? I don't know, who cares? Anyway, look folks, I hope you're enjoying your day here with the Wild Trout Trust. Thank you for tuning in, and there's lots more to come. So enjoy the day, and hopefully our paths will cross next year at one of the Wild Trout Trust events. Thank you very much.